Hi everyone. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to convert radians to degrees and then degrees to radians. So these are the two measurements we use when we draw angle in the Cartesian plane, or you can call it the XY plane. So let's look at what they are. So degrees we're pretty much familiar with them, but if you're not, degrees are like this little symbol next to a number. Say for instance, if you have say 30, so let's write that down. So if you have 30, and if I want to use this as a degree measure, I'll put that little circle next to it as an exponent. So that's going to read as 30 degree. Now, if you want to talk about radians, then radians are represented as just a real number. So you can say 2 radian, or you can simply say 2 rad. That's the abbreviation for radians. Now, sometimes you'll also see pi involved. So you can think of an example, say 3 pi. That's also known to be 3 pi radian. And for degrees, you will always see that little circle as an exponent. So how do we convert these two measurements? Well, here's the rule. So the rule is, if you want to convert from degrees to radians, you take the angle, whatever that angle is, and you multiply it by pi over 180 degree. And the result will be in radians. And then if you want to go from radians to degrees, the rule will just be to multiply by the reciprocal of the previous fraction. So you take your measurement of theta and you multiply it with 180 degree over pi. And that angle will happen to be in degrees. Okay, so now that we have known the rules, let's do a couple of examples for converting. So I have a couple of examples here. We want to convert each of these angles into radians. So they're given in degrees, that's why they have that little circle as an exponent, which indicates that they're in degree measure. So you want to go to radians. So for example, for A, we want to convert 75 degrees into radians. So we're going to follow the rule and carry it out. So we're going to take 75 degree and multiply with, well, the rule says if you're going from degrees to radians, you're going to multiply by pi over 180. So we multiply this pi over 180 degree, and then the rest is just simplifying this number. So 75 degree and 180 degree, that will simplify to be 5 over 12, and we still have a pi next to it. So that's your answer for 75 degree. Or if you want, you can write the red next to it, but that won't be necessary. It's understood this is in radians. Now let's do the following example, 18 degrees. So we take 18 degree, multiply with pi over 180 degree, and then by simplification, we get pi over 10. So that will be our radian measure for 18 degree. Similarly, for negative 135 degree, we'll do the same thing, multiply by its converting factor, pi over 180 degree, and we simplify. So this will give us negative. So on top we have a 3, and on the bottom we have a 4 when we simplify 135 over 180, and we still have a pi next to it. So that would be the measure for negative 135 degree. For 90 degree, again, we do the same thing, pi over 180 degree, and then by simplifying, we get pi over 2. And last one, 45 degree, multiply it with pi over 180 degree, and that will give us pi over 4 radians. So these are the measurements for the following degrees into radians. And now you can also go backwards to double check your answer. So we're going to do different examples to go from radians to degrees. So let's take a look at these ones. So these 4, we want to go from radians to degrees. So you see how they all involve pi except for the last one, but it's understood that 6 is given in radians. So we're going to follow the rule. The rule is to multiply the given angle by 180 over pi. So we multiply the given angle with 180 degree over pi, and the result will be in degrees. So if I do pi over 3 and multiply that with 180 over pi, and I simplify the numbers, so we can see that the pi's will cancel out, and then 180 over 3, that will simply be 60 degree. So pi over 3 is equivalent to 60 degree. And the next one, negative 5 pi over 3, we do the same thing. We do 180 degree over pi, and then simplify the numbers. So again, I can cancel out the pi's, and then 5 times 180 divided by 3, that would give me 300. So it's a negative 300 degree. And the next one, we do the same thing. We multiply with 180 degree over pi. So again, the pi's will cancel out. So we have 180 times 3 divided by 2. So that would give us 270 degree. And the last one, 6 radians. So we multiply with 180 degree over pi. Now for this one, pi is not going to cancel because there is no pi in the answer. So your answer will involve pi. But if you want to use a calculator to write the decimal, you are also allowed to do that. So if I multiply these numbers, 180 and 6, I would get 1080 degree over pi. So I know this looks weird because you have pi involved in your answer, but that's totally fine because the degree symbol tells us this is in degree. And if you type this in your calculator, you'll see this is approximately 344 degree. So that would be the degree measure for this.